welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this gorgeous card. This one I did as a fully see-through shaker card with the gumball machine kind of being the shaker portion. This part one of this video is actually going to just be showing you how to use the my SVG file to assemble the gumball machine portion. And then part two will actually be showing you how I created the shaker card. That way, if you already know how to make a shaker card, you don't need to pay attention to that, and you can just learn how to assemble the gumball machine SVG. So let's get right into it. So first, I'm going to show you kind of all of the pieces that will come with the cut file. The cut file does also include a backing page with a circle cut out for the shaker card portion. If you're not making the shaker card portion, just don't cut this out. If you just wanted to use a gumball machine on a card that's not a shaker card, you can do that as well. There is a outline for the glass ball portion of the shaker card or of the gumball machine included in the SVG file. It's not shown here because I haven't used it today, but essentially it's just the outline of the circle cut out, nice and thin. So these are all of the pieces that are going to come within the SVG file, and these are all the pieces you're going to need for the gumball machine. And I'm showing you here, this is just how I've cut my card. This is a standard size 4 1/4 by 5 3/4 card. And I've used the top piece of the cut file that has the circle cut out of it to trace over top and cut the circle out of the card backing as well, because I want it to be a fully see-through shaker card. Again, if you're not making a see-through shaker card, you don't need to cut the hole in your card base. And if you're not making a shaker card at all, you don't need either of these pieces, but that piece there in my right hand is included within the cut file. So again, I'm just kind of showing you how it lines up and how it would sit, and then the gumball machine would go on top of that. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to be showing you how I am distressing or kind of antiquing these pieces to the gumball machine SVG and how they're being assembled. So all of these red pieces here are essentially the red metal portions of a vintage style gumball machine. And I'm going to be using that Faber-Castell pastels. You could use paint, you could use a variety of other things. I'm choosing to use the pastel though because it's what I have on hand. I'm also using that double-sided tape as you saw and some foam squares. I have some Q-tips to kind of help me smudge that pastel along the edges. And I've got some tacky glue. I do want to make sure that I have some dimension in this card because I'm going to be layering all of these red layers on top of each other. So the foam tape is really, really handy for that. But I don't want foam tape in between every single layer, otherwise I'd have a really tall card. So that's what the tacky glue is for. So I've just brought in a scrap piece of paper here. This is some sort of a list that I've made. It's just so that I don't get pastel all over my table. So I'm going in with a slightly damp Q-tip here, and I'm just kind of rubbing it on the edge. Kind of just wanted to test a few different methods of how I wanted to do this. So I started along the edge here. The nice part about these pieces is they're also reversible. So say I didn't like exactly how I smudged on the edge of this one, I could flip it over and redo it on the other side, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not going for perfection here. We're just kind of making this look sort of aged and a little bit more authentic. If you want a darker kind of edging on it, you can actually go right in with the pastel itself and smudge that right on the paper, and then smudge it out from the edges. The other reason why I like doing these pastel on these pieces is because, again, I have several layers of the exact same color cardstock that are going to be layered right on top of each other, and without adding something kind of around the edge, I feel like some of the definition is lost. And I just wanted a little bit of something to make it pop from the other layers. Some of these will have dimension because they'll be propped up from the backing pieces using a foam tape. That being said, some of them won't be, and I do really love the effect that this gives. So yeah, I'm just going kind of right around the edge, really rough. If you get some in the middle, not a big deal. I'm going to speed this up here because you don't need to see me do it 100 times, but I'm finding that I like actually smudging the pastel on the edge and then rubbing it in that way a little bit better than putting it on the Q-tip first. Putting it on the Q-tip first I find gives it a little bit more of a muted look where it's nice and dark here. So as you can see, when I layer them up, even if I added no foam tape, it gives a really nice effect having the two layered on top of each other when the edges are colored like this. As well, because of the way that this is going to be assembled, you don't necessarily need to shade on every single edge, but I always like to do it, and that way there's no gaps or spaces missing when I go to assemble everything. And I'm just going to continue doing this with all of the pieces. Essentially, I'm trying to show you these kind of in the order that they would be assembled, with the exception of this longer piece here. So starting from the left to the right on the top there, see the largest, second largest, and third largest would be assembled one on top of the other, lining up the bottoms and kind of centering them to each other. Then that longer piece is going to be placed on, then they'll be assembled again from descending size. And then these two pieces actually go with the top of it, kind of a little toque-shaped top to the gumball machine. I decided I was also going to do the distressing on the edges of the silver pieces, since it didn't really make sense to me to have this nice distressed red metal portion of the gumball machine and not take into account the fact that the silver part would actually have been there just as long as the red part. So just to kind of make everything go together, I did do the pastel on those ones as well. Just wash my hands here, clean up my workstation so I don't get pastel all over everything else. And I'm going to go in here and start assembling my first two pieces. These first two pieces I've decided I'm going to prop up with a foam tape. So I'm just actually adding these foam squares in the corners, maybe one in the middle here to add sort of some strength to it. There will be kind of several layers on top of this if you're thinking about it. There's a few more pieces that are going to go on top. So you do want to make sure that everything is stuck down really, really well, because once it's raised off of the card, it kind of will lose some sort of stability as you get higher and higher off the card. So I always like to make sure that everything's really, really stuck down. So these first two are actually going to line up exactly pretty well, edge to edge, and it creates a super cute little base of the gumball machine. The next piece that I'm adding on is the third largest piece. Because I added foam tape onto the last piece, this piece I'm just going to attach with a double-sided tape to kind of pieces that pretty much cover the whole piece, just to, again, make sure that it's really stuck down on there, because when this card is standing up, there's, again, going to be more layers added on top of this, and I want to make sure it holds all the weight of the rest of the paper. So there's my first three layers stuck on, and you'll see here, I'm actually about to make a mistake. I'm going to try and stick this piece down before the other piece. So if you're following along with me, take note, do not stick this piece down. It's not a huge big deal if you do stick this down next, but technically by design the next one's supposed to go down first. So you're going to take this long one, I'm going to take a piece of my double-sided tape, because this one, because it's so thin, I'm not going to bother trying to figure out foam tape for this. It's going to be too much of a pain. So I'm going to quite simply just fold a piece of double-sided tape, sticky sides together, so I get one that's half as wide, peel off half of it, stick it onto this rectangle here, and then once it's stuck down, kind of centered, I'm going to peel the backing off, cut off the little excess that overhangs, and stick that down. So that's going to come down. And as you can see, you could even stop here if you didn't want to cut the smaller pieces, but I mean, you've come this far, you may as well add the next one. So the next smallest piece actually is going to rest kind of on top of where that last little ledge you just added in went, and it's going to line up pretty well with the exact top of the second last piece that you added. Next pieces that are going to go on are these smaller red pieces. You will see me make another mistake once I start adding on these gray pieces, but I will tell you where it is. Looks great both ways, but I'm kind of sad that I didn't stick that other piece on, and of course I didn't realize it until a few steps behind. So this small piece I'm adding on is also going to be foam taped as well, or it was going to be foam taped, and it looks like I actually changed my mind and did not foam tape it because I think it's just too small a piece, and I don't know. Again, I don't like foam taping the ones that are really small because I find you can really see the foam tape behind them. So next, I'm just going to add a little bit of my tacky glue to the kind of hat or toque-shaped piece here and add this thin strip on just to create a little level of definition on this one. As you can see, again, I haven't added any kind of foam tape to this top part just because both pieces are pretty small. I find that I'm going to see more of the foam tape behind it than I would. So this next spot, watch here, you see that small gray rectangle? I should have added that in first. Instead, I went right ahead and added this dark gray half circle, which would kind of represent where the gumball comes out. I should have added that gray square and then that half circle on there. Again, I don't think too much is lost, so if you cut it all out and you lose that square, it's not a big deal. Or if you don't like the way that square looks, have at it. There is another second dark gray half circle that I've added that goes on the smaller circle. As you see, I just added that. Then I'm going to use a little bit more tacky glue and add on my larger gray circle here. Sorry, I don't really have any better descriptive words for how to describe these pieces, but you can see what's happening. Then I have my next little small square here, and I've got that half circle at the bottom, which would represent where you're putting in your coin. Use a little dab of glue here in the middle to put on the kind of turn crank to get your gumball out of the machine. And there's that gray square. I just realized that I forgot and where it would have gone. But in any case, I think it looks great without it. Do a little bit of cleanup here before I move on to the next steps. But that's basically it. You have your bottom piece and you have the top piece as well. I think these look so cute. Again, there is a piece in the SVG cut file that is essentially the outline of a large circle, which fits in there to create the glass dome of the gumball machine if you chose to use this as a non-shaker card. Or if you just wanted to add some definition around the cutout of the shaker card, you could do that as well. This is the final card that I came up with to use this SVG cut file. It's a peekaboo see-through shaker card. I don't know how you would describe it. That gray piece in the middle is also part of the SVG file, and it's stuck in between two layers of foam tape there to create the shaker card. I love these little styrofoam balls. I love that you can see them in the back. I think they look just like little gumballs. And this is a super cute card, at least in my opinion. I might be biased, but I love this. Great for any occasion. Super, super cute. Super easy to do. You could do it in any colors you wanted. Doesn't necessarily have to be the red. Thank you again so much for watching. If you like this video and you'd like to see part 2, click that link up there on the top. And if you'd like to be notified anytime I upload, please hit that subscribe button and you will see all of my new videos when they come out. Thanks so much and have a great day.